Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome to the show. Welcome back to another episode of Action Movie Anatomy here on the Popcorn Talk Network. I've wanted to talk about this movie for so many years. We're talking about Spy right now. Get ready to laugh, guys. We'll see you in just 1 second.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Action Movie Anatomy.
Oh, came in hot.
I love it. J-Lo bringing the heat.
Making it work. Making it work.
Not the movie The Heat.
No.
With Melissa McCarthy as well.
Melissa McCarthy.
Also Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Action Movie Anatomy here on the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network dedicated to talking movies, all things movie-related, and pop culture by the bucketful. I am Ben Bateman, and that is Andrew Ghai. Round of applause for Andrew Ghai.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to thank my mother. I'd like to thank my Snickers. That's my dog. He's on the ground here. He's being good. He's such a good boy now.
I was going to give him a round of applause, but I thought he might jump up and start going crazy.
Yeah, he might get a little excited. He's calm now, so we're going to keep him that way. I'm so excited to talk about this movie. This is one of those movies we would have never talked about when the show first started.
No, we really needed to. It's like we had our rules we stuck to, and now the movies we cover on Action Movie Anatomy, they vary. But this is totally an action comedy. It's when we did our episode of Top 5 Action Comedies over on our other show, the Action Guys on Collider, this was one of our top 5 action comedies.
Yeah, 100%.
The ones that you had to see. And I think this movie goes kind of uncelebrated, to be honest with you. Like,
yeah.
I didn't know it was as funny as it was until I watched it on an airplane, and then I was like, how did I miss this? This is like the funniest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where I think maybe if you saw it when it first came out, it was good, and you're like, oh, that movie was really funny. But that happens a lot with comedies. Is you'll watch it, you'll really enjoy it, and then like, I haven't gone back to watch Blockers again. I haven't wanted to watch Tag again. You know, I like both those movies quite a bit. So for this, it like you said, it came. I watched it, I enjoyed it, and then I just kind of forgot about it until like a couple years ago, or like a year ago.
So you saw this when it came out?
Like right around when it came out. It wasn't in theaters, but I'd seen it very shortly thereafter.
Like bought the $5 DVD at the 7-Eleven deal?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
No, I think I Redboxed it.
Okay, yeah.
That was a thing.
I didn't realize how much I liked Melissa McCarthy until pretty recently, actually.
Yeah.
And I think we will talk about this a lot today. We'll kind of expound on what makes her so special as we get into it. But guys, this is Action Movie Anatomy. We talk about action movies on the show. Those action movies, generally speaking, adhere to 4 basic rules. Rule number 1, the hero always plays by their own rules. Susan Cooper, she does. She plays by her own rules.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, right? Like she starts
kept down for a long time. But she really starts to step outside the box.
Yeah,
and
feeling herself.
Yeah, big time. Rule number 2, the hero and the villain are always the smartest people, beings, things, dinosaurs, what have you in the room. It's funny because there's like 2 villains, and neither of them is actually the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, and neither is Melissa McCarthy, honestly.
No. I mean, she is kind of. She keeps
kind of.
But it's not like she knows better than anyone.
She just like deals with situations, falling into situations pretty well.
Like Bradley Fine, I feel like, is the smartest guy in the room, kind of generally. Except he's a moron, kind of. I don't know. Nobody's really very smart in this movie.
No. Like Rose Byrne kind of is, but
yeah,
I guess she is.
Rayna, your hair broke your fall.
Melissa McCarthy with Statham and Melissa McCarthy with Rose are just incredible.
Amazing. Immaculate comedy.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Rule number 3, the movie is driven by a police, military, political, or mercenary figure.
She is. She's CIA.
Yeah, she's CIA. And then rule number 4, the movie contains a minimum of 1 explosion. Yeah, there's definitely explosions in this movie.
It's an action movie.
It's a spy movie,
This follows our rules.
Yeah, it totally does. And I think one of the things that makes this movie so special is that they really, in a very similar way to the other guys, which I've actually realized now the more I've watched this and thought about it, this movie reminds me a lot of the other guys in the way it makes me feel when I watch it. Everything feels, there's so many jokes that are all funny. They all land for me, and they all feel really smart. Like, it really does feel like it took the genre, and it absolutely worked every single angle to make you laugh. And, like, it's so funny because it's just poking fun at it the entire time.
Well, what's interesting is that, you know, we just saw Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
And we saw Statham doing comedy once again.
Yeah.
And it is drastically different with stronger writing. I mean, obviously that just seems like kind of a duh statement, but it really is so apparent. I mean, because sometimes you can even see great comedic actors take bad writing and it's still funny.
Right.
You know, like
she does it.
McCarthy does it all the time.
She did a lot. She's done some very bad movies, and she's generally speaking the funniest part of always.
She's just always incredible. It's her timing, it's her delivery, it's her confidence. Like everything about it is so great. And Statham, I mean, we'll get to it when we get to the thesis statement, but it's just shocking how different it is from last week to this week with his same comedy.
Did you realize we're doing the Try Statham weeks? I didn't realize this.
Oh, because next week we're supposed to be doing Snatch.
Yeah. We just spoiler
Shout
on the pitch. Yeah. So anyway, guys, we're gonna keep talking about Spy here. A lot of things to get to, but I do want to give a quick shout out to brand new general in the Action Army, Kyle Hilbert with the upgrade, and Alex Frost, another brand new inductee to the Army. Both you guys, we salute you. Unless Alex Frost is not a man, which we've made that mistake with Alex McFarlane in the past.
Alex McFarlane's not a man?
We'll
never stop.
It all seems so long ago.
It does, right? Now it would seem ludicrous for me to think that Alex
was... We saw videos of Alex dancing at her wedding, and it was the most charming thing in the world. I feel like she's my friend now.
Man, her and her dad dancing is one of my absolute favorite things I've seen.
Love
It's hilarious. Amazing.
Huge fan. So, guys, those are a couple quick shout-outs. Coming up today on the show, we are going to be talking about our collective top 5 Melissa McCarthy films. We might kind of skirt around a new version of Cage vs. Cruz. It's something we've been talking about as we kind of prepare for our New York Comedy Club, a live show we're doing on August 29th, which get your tickets now if you haven't already. NewYorkComedyClub.com, August 29th, 10:15 in New York in the East Village. Drew and I are going to be performing live for almost an hour and a half. We'll be doing an episode of AMA, we'll be doing an Action Guys, and we'll be maybe doing some live music and interpretive dance, possibly.
Which, if you saw the live stream last night, there was a little taste of that. Some good 90s throwbacks, a little bit of singing from both of us. Definitely some dancing.
People liked your dancing.
Of course they did.
There was 3 comments.
You and I both know I'm a phenomenal dancer. How upset Vince Vaughn gets every single time that Owen Wilson will not acknowledge that he's a good dancer in Wedding Crashers is one of my favorite things. You and I both know I'm a phenomenal dancer.
All right, guys, we are going to get into the first bit of the show. Before we do get into Thesis Statement, which is how we're going to start the show, I do want to make sure you guys are following along with everything we're doing. So, Drew, where can the folks find you if they want to follow with your career?
You guys can find me personally at Andrew Ghai on Instagram and Twitter, and also check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Team Action, something you were just talking about. Kyle and Alex found it, so we'll have a couple hundred other people. I'm always so proud to say that
several hundred fans.
We've got fans in the triple digits. Pretty big deal. I'm always really proud to go to our Patreon and see that we have over 200 patrons. It's absolutely incredible.
It's a community, too. Everybody interacts with each other. There's polls going on all the time. There's exclusive content. We drop videos early. There's stuff behind, like the exclusive streams sometimes. And at the general level, which is the highest level you can be, the highest honor, the Action Army.
It's true.
There's like a bunch of special chats we do, like private chats with you guys every single week. There's a bunch of them now at the live stream. So go check all that out. And you can follow me at Ben Bateman Media, Twitter, Instagram, all the places. Team Action Show on Twitter, so we can follow this show if you want to let us know your thoughts about Spy, Alyssa McCarthy, all the other things. Let's get into Thesis Statement. The biggest, boldest thought about the film. Movie comes up in a conversation. You say to someone, look, here's the thing about Spy. You say your thing at that Spy party, and then you drop the mic.
Jason Statham. This is his best movie. Straight up. It's his best performance in a movie. Let me make it a little more specific.
Well, I was going to say, you just took... That was 2 theses, because one of those is mine.
That's why I wait, really? You think this is his best film?
My statement, my thesis statement, my biggest, boldest thought is this is the best Jason Statham movie, period.
Yeah, because... Okay, so let's think about it. You got Crank, you got Transporters, those 2 franchises.
I think the only thing that even begins to rival it is maybe if you want to make the argument Snatch is a better movie, or
Stock,
if you really like
Lock, Stock.
Lock, Stock, yeah.
And then, he does pop up in the beginning of Collateral, but that's not a Jason Statham movie.
He's got, one line.
Does he even have a line? Or does he just switch the bag?
I think he says enjoy LA, maybe.
Oh, yeah. That sounds right.
Right?
It's like a 5-point question.
Yeah.
Nah, it's more than a 5-point question. No, that's way too specific.
They might ask if this action superstar has a small cameo exchanging briefcases with Tom Cruise at the beginning of Collateral. That could be a 5-point question.
That seems like a good one. So we both just really believe that this is Jason Statham's best moment, period.
It just feels like all the things that make Jason Statham great, but then there's a level of intelligence beyond what makes him great that makes this movie sing so much. He truly is arguably the funniest part of this movie. He outshines Alyssa McCarthy in most of the scenes that he's in.
And it seems impossible.
Rose Byrne is so good in this movie that it's hard to imagine there could be somebody funnier than her in this, but actually Statham's best moments in this movie are the funniest moments in the whole movie. And I can't... We're gonna cover Snatch soon, and when we do, I'll have to really consider if I revise my statement. But as it stands now, I've never had any interest in going back to rewatch Snatch. It felt just felt like a movie of its time. It's very Guy Ritchie at the Guy Ritchie time when he was coming on, and then also it's a movie that's all just about that one Brad Pitt character. Like that's the memorable thing about that movie. And this movie I've wanted to go back and rewatch like 6 times. Like I adore this movie.
Yeah, and I definitely don't see eye to eye with you completely on that, because I really do enjoy Snatch, and I like Lock, Stock a lot. I think Snatch might be maybe his best movie. It's really hard for me to decide if I like Spy or Snatch more, because honestly at this point I adore this movie. Yeah. I watched it twice in the last week because it was so good. But I do truly believe it's his best role. Yeah. Like hands down, without a doubt, the best use of Jason Statham. Like, it's almost one of those things where I wonder if he's more appropriately cast, because it's in the same vein as kind of Mark Wahlberg and Boogie. Right? You're using someone who isn't the strongest actor. Now, mind you, since then, I think Wahlberg's become a better actor.
Much better.
I don't think he's incredible or anything, but I think he's much better than he used to be. But they used him in the perfect position to excel, exceed expectations. If Wahlberg got a nomination for that movie, I would not have been upset. If Statham got a nomination for this movie, I mean, it would never happen.
It would have been Rose Byrne.
It would have been Rose Byrne. Gosh,
and she could have, honestly.
Yeah, she really could have. Yeah. She's wonderful in this. Yeah. Everything about her. But yeah, so that's how I feel about Statham, and I wonder if, we talked about it last week. Where do we go from here with Statham? I don't know if a comedy career is actually his thing, because I think he takes himself a little too seriously.
Yeah, and they're just going to make another Hobbs and Shaw, and then he's going to just keep doing that.
Why haven't they made another Spy?
Well, I think that it's listed on IMDb as a sequel coming.
Okay, good.
So it's listed that we're going to get another spot, which I can't wait for that. But yeah, I just think like all the things that make this movie special, it puts Statham in the perfect position to excel.
Yep.
It takes him taking himself so seriously, but he's willing to poke fun at himself by doing this role. So it's just perfect.
Yeah, I bet in his mind he believes that his character really did all those things.
Yeah.
Took up piano at a late age.
I drive a car off a bridge while on fire. Not the car. I was on fire. He's just like all his stuff. And like there's there's a later one when he's arguing with her, when he tells her she's got a dong. Like that whole delivery is just so good.
Face off machine. Yeah, you gotta put a quarter in because it doesn't exist.
It's called a rivalry amongst men that you wouldn't understand.
Allison Janney is also excellent in this.
Amazing.
I mean, they're using very, very high caliber actors in all these other positions. Yeah. And I wish I could remember the name of her friend. She's I have to look it up.
She was originally supposed to be Zooey Deschanel, right? That was
really,
and then Deschanel dropped out. Yeah.
Of McCarthy's friend?
No, yeah, McCarthy's friend, the other demented aunt.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is so much better.
Yeah, she's just.
And I'm sure it was way cheaper.
Yeah. All right, so Paul Denuzio, Thesis. There is not a weak link in this film. Everyone plays to their comedy talents perfectly. I agree, and the funny thing is, Paul, I was saying this to Drew last night. You see Bobby Cannavale come on screen, and I was like, I love that guy. She was like, really?
Randa Hart.
He was like, really? You like that guy? I was like, I just think Bobby Cannavale like kind of leans into his thing. Like, he's got that face, he's got that voice. He's not trying to like be a big crazy dramatic actor. He just, the most dramatic thing I've ever seen him try to do is be the stepdad in Ant-Man. But like, he's just funny generally. He's always like,
I liked him more last night. I think I just, for some reason, I'm very medium on him. I'm just lukewarm, but I don't dislike him. I just don't really love him.
I love how tan he is in this movie. He's like orange.
Jude Law is also someone we haven't really even talked about much at all. Someone earlier in the chat was saying, I think it was Dr. someone, was saying that they think Jude Law is the strongest point of this movie. He's just really rounded out, but it feels like Jude Law is just kind of doing what Jude Law does. He's just handsome and charming.
If you're going to make this movie, you're like, okay, so we have to cast a legit James Bond.
Yeah.
So who can we cast as a legitimate James Bond? Who would look the part, feels the part, he can totally pull it off, and he's perfect for it.
Yeah, he's absolutely perfectly. I mean, that could be the other thing, is this is like maybe the most perfectly cast action comedy ever.
Yeah, it's so good. It's just, I mean, the other guys, I don't know, Michael Keaton.
Yeah, that's true. Keaton's so good.
All right, guys, so that's going to be Thesis Statement. Leave yours in the comments below. Leave your thoughts below. Let us know what you think. What are the biggest, boldest thoughts about this film? We're going to get into the next part of the show. This is Fist Pump Moment. This is something happens. You kind of look around like, are you seeing this right now? This is so good. I'm so excited I get to watch the rest of this movie. And honestly, for me, there's a lot. It's funny. Action comedy, fist pump is weird.
It is weird.
It's like really what it feels like. It's like the moment you laugh the most.
Well, because I had 2 different fist pumps in my 2 different viewings for, over this last week.
Yeah.
But I got to go with the first one. You want to go first? You want me to hop in?
No, you jump in.
So I want to go with my first one because I It was the first time that I'd watched the movie in several months.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten about the cupcake necklace scene.
Oh, it's so
It's so stupid. It's so good. It won't stop looking at me. And like the adjustable chain, you're like, I usually don't see that
toggle.
For me, I was just like, oh my God. The timing in this and the face on Jude Law. What is it? He's like, oh no. He like makes a stupid voice, and it's like, what is it, like watching a monkey ride a bike when Jude Law makes himself like look dumb?
Yeah,
It's like almost hard to see him do it because he's such a beautiful man.
Yeah.
But just this scene when it happened, I was like, oh my God, it's early. It's right after the initial action scene.
Yeah.
So you know exactly what you're gonna get for the rest of the movie. It's gonna be perfectly well written comedy, and then moments of brief action that's actually pretty well executed.
Oh yeah. There's the knife fight. It's like a real action sequence.
Oh, with the pot?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great scene. It really is.
That's like real action.
She kills her. Oh! But yeah, that was my fist pump. I was just like, I totally forgot about this. The cupcake necklace is so stupid. It looks so stupid, and he makes her put it on, and it was just excellent.
The one for me, and we've like, talked it to death now, so it's almost like I want to use a different one, but I have to just come back to the Jason Statham monologue when he's in her hotel room, because it's the thing when I've gone back to think about this movie that always feels like the funniest part of the movie. It's just so brilliantly written. It's so perfectly performed. Everything he says in the scene is just so ridiculous. Like, how'd you get into my hotel room? And he's like, oh, you mean how I get in this shitbox hotel room? Because I'm a real spy. All his lines that he says, because you look like fucking Santa Claus's wife.
You look like a flute player in a wedding band.
Yeah.
I know that's later on, but that's maybe one of my favorite lines.
It's such a good one. But like just his whole run on thing, and the line that I've always brought up because I just love is when he's like, under threat of presidential assassination, I impersonated Barack Obama in front of Congress convincingly. And she's like,
in blackface?
Blackface? It's not appropriate.
It's not appropriate.
It's like my favorite moment of the whole movie. So dumb.
And then we got Garth McMurray here, Garth's been popping up a lot lately, so big ups to you, brother. Big shout out. He says, I love Statham talking about sewing his arm back on.
I don't think that's possible. I mean, medically. And then I also love when he clarifies, not the car. I was on fire.
Yeah, that scene is also so great because you're also like, okay, great. Statham is in on the joke, or even if he's not in on the joke, they've figured out a way to make him feel like he's in on the joke perfectly.
He's so dumb, like the face-off machine stuff with the other two agents.
I know it's real. I wish I could remember Janney's line at the beginning. Did I do something to upset you?
Yeah, those lines are all so good, and she keeps getting the new identities.
10 cats?
Is that even legal?
Is that even legal?
Oh, there they are. There's the 10 cats. You sold all her identities, dude. They're just so good. You sold more Mary Kay product than anyone else in your region.
Great. Oh, man. J-Lo, have you seen this movie? She's gone. She left us.
She pulled a Cody.
J-Lo. Nope. No. You haven't seen it? Oh, you would love this movie.
It's as funny as it gets. Snatch?
Yeah? Okay. All right. Then we'll have to bug you about that one. Should we... Let's just get into star profiles. We'll move on and go into star profiles. So Alyssa Mccarthy, this is kind of right in the middle of her
big run.
Yeah, she already blew up, and this is where it's just like, here's a movie. So,
well, she was doing the thing, and we're actually going to talk about this today on the Action Guys, which will be pretty fun. So if you guys are interested in this conversation, that's a great show to go tune into. But basically, she had the comedian sweet spot moment, and this happens a lot. You'll see it where there's a comedian, they come out, they're in one or two things, they're very well liked. The studios start to figure out, okay, if I just put this comedian in something, it will open pretty well. It will double our money easily. We can probably spend 30, 40 million on the movie, maybe 50. The movie will easily make like 70 to 100.
Yep.
And it's going to sell just purely off the name. I don't have to put any huge stars in it, really. And so she goes on this run here, and right when this comes out, she'd been in St. Vincent the year before. Now, that's a Jim Jarmusch movie, so that's more of a dramatic film. Tammy, 2014, that's a classic example of what we're talking about, which I haven't seen, but Tammy's the one with her and Sarandon, right? And she's like an inappropriate grandma or something.
Yeah,
they go on a road trip.
I think it's something like that. Yeah, and then the one before that was The Heat in 2013 with Bullock, which is like pretty pretty well regarded.
That's one of the only ones I haven't seen, actually.
Yeah.
And I've really, I feel like now I want to go watch it because of how much I like her.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the one gem in the career that I haven't seen, because I've like watched most of the bad
you've seen
movies.
you've seen Identity Thief, which isn't like horrible.
Yeah, I've seen Identity Thief. I've watched.
She's great in that.
I've watched The Boss. I mean, I watched.
The Boss is a bad movie.
Life of the
where
Party.
She's great.
Yeah, I went through and watched a lot of these, but
You like Life of the Party?
it's pretty funny. It's a good movie.
Okay.
It's a good movie. But The Heat, yeah, that's like the one with her and Bullock. It's like a cop movie, and that the reason that movie was a big deal when it came out is that in 2011. See, because she had been previously on Gilmore Girls, I'm pretty sure. That's where I think she got famous in the 90s.
Really?
Or like maybe it's the 2000s. I'm pretty certain. You can confirm that for me, or J-Lo if you want to look it up for us.
I'll check it out.
I think she's on Gilmore Girls for a pretty long run, and then she's in a bunch of movies, like small parts, and then Bridesmaids is the breakout. That's the big moment. 'Cause she gets nominated for an Oscar for that.
Right.
Yeah, in 2011, and she's hilarious in that movie. She's so good in that movie. Like, she steals the puppies. Like, she's amazing. She's so good in that movie.
Yeah, every line that comes. That's the Zach Galifianakis moment in Hangover.
Yeah.
It was just like every single thing. Because I don't know if. I'm trying to think of other actors that have had that distinctive a moment in a film, because not only was Bridesmaids massive, so was The Hangover, and these guys, these two actors, Melissa and Zach, were just so freaking good in both of them. It was like the world just needed more.
I can tell you one.
Always.
I can tell you one. It was.
Yeah, it's Gilmore Girls. 153 episodes.
Yeah,
Wow.
she's a big part of it. It's Farrell in Old School. Because it's the movie. The lead of that movie is Vince Vaughn, right? And the lead of that movie is Luke Wilson, and he's sort of the third. He's like he's the weird comic relief guy, but he hadn't had a hit yet. He had gone the whole late '90s into the early 2000s without a hit, right? He had played Mustafa in Austin Powers. He'd been in Superstar. He had had Night at the Roxbury.
Yep.
But he hadn't really had that moment where people were like, "I'll go see anything you put this guy in." And he's in Old School, and that's the funniest movie of the summer, and everyone thinks it's great. And then all of a sudden, it was like, we'll just make Anchorman. We'll just make, Step Brothers. We'll go. You'll just put him in all these movies.
He face palms the kid.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing in the world.
Those are the type of movies where you wonder what it was like on set that day.
Yeah.
Or like in Bridesmaids, you wonder what it was like the airplane day or the bathroom day and the bride.
Right.
Those moments, you're just like, God, how did anyone keep their shit together for more than 30 seconds at a time?
I'm sure no one did. Because it's like, how could you?
Way.
You're on set with somebody as funny as that. So that's kind of her moment is 2011. And so what's interesting about this is the run leading up to Spy. That's the run. And the weird thing is that post Spy feels like when the wheels actually start to kind of fall off. Because The Heat's supposedly pretty good. St. Vincent is an interesting movie. Bridesmaids is great. Spy, she does a pretty good run there. And that's when you get into Tammy and The Boss and some movies that are just less good.
Yeah, and the one thing that I will say about Alyssa Mccarthy is it does seem like she's always still trying.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem to be phoning it in yet, and hopefully that doesn't become like a trend or something that she starts to do. On the other side of it, you've got Jason Statham, who maybe is the definition of phoning it in a lot of the time in his movies. I mean, I love Statham, but he does Homefront in 2013, which I don't even know what that is. I know the box, or I've seen the cover.
Yeah, I think it's like is that the one with Franco, maybe? Does that sound right? Franco's like a meth addict, and Statham moves to a new town, and there's like a gang drug thing, and he's has to protect his family. Does that sound right?
Maybe. I said, I haven't seen it.
Keep talking, I'll look it up.
Keep talking, I'll look it up. After that, we have The Expendables 3 in 2014, and then Wild Card in 2015. And
I don't know what that is.
I actually don't either. He just kind of, we talked about it a lot last week. He just does whatever, and he does the same thing over and over. What is it?
I'm going to read you the description on IMDb.
Please do.
It's shockingly accurate.
Oh, really?
A former DEA agent moves his family to a quiet town where he soon tangles with a local meth drug lord. Statham moves his family to the town, and the meth drug lord is played by James Franco.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? Actually, I do know a little bit about this. I love that Franco's a meth drug lord.
Yeah, right?
What a weird
career
role
that guy's had.
Yeah, I know. So, we kind of just did it, but we're going to talk about the top 5 Melissa McCarthy movies, maybe in no specific order. I mean, or unless you want to if you want to rank them.
Well, I got to leave The Heat out, and unfortunately, because it's not a movie I've seen. Have you seen it?
Same. We have to leave it out as well.
I have to assume it's probably top 5. Because
I do too.
I want to go watch that tonight. Maybe I will.
No, seems like a good one.
But yeah, I think Spy for sure makes the top 5.
Yep.
Can You Ever Forgive Me, which is really good. You see that?
No, and I really want to, because the idea of her being dramatic actress is like very exciting to me.
She's great in it, and she's definitely starting to lean into that a little more. You know, I just saw The Kitchen, and that's kind of in the same vein. Oh, in fact, we're gonna maybe do that.
I was just gonna say we should.
I should probably do like a little review of it on here for those of you that are thinking of going to see it
on here.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I don't know where else I'm gonna do. I didn't post one on YouTube, so. But let's finish this. We got Spy. Can You Ever Forgive Me? I think Bridesmaids. We can both agree.
Yeah, 100% Bridesmaids. I mean, if you like Life of the Party as much as you do, I think it's got to go on there.
That's crazy. Life of the Party.
Identity Thief was fine. Definitely not The Boss. The Boss is kind of silly. And if you guys in the chat can respond quick enough with a convincing enough argument.
Yeah, I think St. Vincent maybe, because that movie's pretty good.
This is 40. I don't even remember her role in This Is 40.
Yeah, who is she in This Is 40? She like
This is Diana. Oh no, that's Identity Thief. Catherine. I don't know.
Just watched it. I can't think who's in it.
Spy, The Boss, Mike and Molly. What a great show. 127 episodes of that she's done.
Yeah, she was on Mike and Molly.
Ghostbusters. I did not really like the new Ghostbusters.
That's one I skipped.
I was fine with it. I actually think it was a really great role for Hemsworth. He's very, very funny in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's just not, I don't know.
Not a special movie.
And they're making another one, right? They're doing another different Ghostbusters?
Yeah, they're making a sequel with the original Ghostbusters.
So weird.
Directed by... I think it's directed by Jason Reitman, maybe?
Okay.
Right? Because
his dad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Charlie's Angels. Yeah, I do remember. I remember that she's in it. I don't remember her role. Okay, so I think we go with those 5.
So St. Vincent makes the top 5.
You like it?
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I feel like if we want to go honorary The Heat, like I'll go there, even though neither of us have seen it.
I'm happy to do that. I am, because I've heard from a lot of people it's very good, whereas Identity Thief is like it's
Identity
stupid
Thief has
silly.
The one scene
There's in the car with her singing.
Yeah. It's so good. We can't cue scenes up anymore, right?
I don't know what the rules are. J-Lo, we can't, right?
We can't.
That's all right.
I mean, I could just narrate what's happening in the scene for those of you that haven't seen it. It's like, you want to talk about comedy brilliance, like when somebody is so good they can make anything funny. And basically the premise of the movie is that she steals Bateman's identity, and they're like driving to the airport, and he's like, and she's like, so we gonna fly there together? And he's like, yep, got the tickets right here. And she's like, we're gonna both show our Sandy Robinson ID? And he's like, son of a bitch! He's like, how did I miss that? God! And he's like, all right, we're driving. We're driving. She's like, how about some music? She puts it on, and it's like 3 songs in a row, and he keeps changing the song so that she can't, because she's like enjoying herself too much, but she's just going full karaoke on each song.
Oh yeah.
And like the first one I think is I Will Walk 500 Miles maybe. And she's, I can't remember the second one is, but I know that the third one is Barracuda by Heart,
right.
And she's doing the full.
Every time it changes, she just goes seamlessly into the next line. It's so brilliant. Yeah. She's so great.
It is comedy brilliance. Like to be able to pull that off, and it's just so good.
Yeah, that one, it's close. It's close for a Alyssa Mccarthy
just
top
for
5.
That scene alone.
Yeah, just for that scene alone. But I think we go with what you have there, and I think it's hard to not say Bridesmaids isn't her best, because like you said, it's the one that breaks her through. She does get nominated for it. We might like Spy more, but I think we like Spy more because of the other people in it. So yeah. I think Bridesmaids is actually number 1, and Spy is number 2.
That's fair. I'd say, and then Can You Ever Forgive Me probably be 3.
Yep.
It's a good movie. It's not that memorable of a movie, but it's good, and she's good in it.
Well, the whole thing about it was the story behind it, of her like stealing the letters and faking it seems compelling enough, but it was actually good though. It's really good.
Pays off. In another year, she would have probably won the Oscar for that movie, because she's really good in it. But she wasn't going to win this year. So
okay. So if it goes 1 Bridesmaids, 2 Spy, 3 Can You Ever Forgive Me, then I think.
I mean, because neither of us have seen The Heat, I think we got to maybe put it 5.
Okay.
Seems weird to put a movie we've never seen on here, but on the other hand, I'm willing to just trust that it's funny.
Yeah. So then what's 4? St. Vincent's 4?
No, we didn't put that on Life of the Party.
That's 4.
Yeah.
And The Heat's 5.
Yeah.
You really liked Life of the Party that much?
That movie's really good. I think Bibiani wrote when he saw it, he wrote
I need to watch it, because I was like, I looked at it and I was like, this is gonna be bad.
It's like not that much better than that.
Okay.
But it's good enough that when you finish it, you're like, I don't know. There's this weird thing that happens now when I watch movies where because we watch so many movies, and we watch and I watch like so many movies that are out of genre because it's just as a critic, right? I screen stuff that I have to go into comedies now, like comedies and family movies, just sort of allowing myself to be like, this is probably not my preferred genre necessarily.
Yeah.
But I have to give this movie the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'm here to watch this. So if Instant Family is going to wow me, like, I'm willing to be wowed by Instant Family.
Do you love Instant Family?
It's fucking great. That
I
movie's
need
great.
to watch it. I've heard nothing but good things
It's like
about
Life of the Party. It's like, this is the 7th recycled Melissa McCarthy plot, but like, if it's
still
going to be
works.
good, it's good. Like,
Yeah.
it's legitimately funny. So, I recommend it. But just a quick bit on The Kitchen, which I will talk about, because that was the other option to do this week, was The Kitchen. And I screened it last week, or earlier this week, I guess. Last week. It's Monday. I just found it to be forgettable. It's this weird movie where Andrea something, whose name I can't think of, directed it. She's a writer. She's a writer, and it's based on a DC comic book. The premise of the movie is these 3 women whose husbands all get arrested and go to jail. They start to like run the crime business in Hell's Kitchen, and it's Tiffany Haddish, Elizabeth Moss, and Alyssa McCarthy.
Andrea Berloff.
Yeah, Berloff, and she was known for having written something pretty good. But,
Straight Outta Compton.
Straight Outta Compton. That's what it is. Yeah, and
Bloodfather, of course.
The Bloodfather. Yeah. You watched that, right?
Yeah. It's real. It's offensive.
It's real offensive. But it's good. Like, it's a crime movie, right? I'm describing a crime movie. The stakes should be high. It should be compelling. And they kind of are, and it kind of is, but not all the way. Like, it never really feels like it gets going where you feel like you care about what happens to the characters. You know that they could die because it's a crime movie. It's just a straight up, crime movie. They're murdering each other. But, like, you never really ever get that into it. And
you don't feel the stakes that much.
Yeah, the stakes feel low, and because you cast 2 primarily
comedic
actresses as 2 of the 3 leads the whole time, because they're kind of leaning into this like almost like lighthearted, really dark comedy. It ends up the whole time just feeling like, all right, am I supposed to be laughing? Like, is this supposed to be funny? And like, no matter how good you guys are, because they're really good,
right?
Like, she does a great job. So does Tiffany Haddish. It's still just like, are these cartoon characters? Are you guys like playing caricatures of what these roles are supposed to be? Because I can't totally get into it.
Well, even when I was watching the trailer had that same vibe of what you're talking about, where I was like, okay, this is like a crime movie, but is it fun? Is it as intense as Widows? Or is it going to be funnier than Widows? Is it the same premise? Like, I just couldn't really figure out what they were going for, and I think that's really important in trailers.
100%. Widows took itself more seriously. This movie is like just as dark and violent as Widows, but Widows definitely took itself more seriously.
Okay.
I didn't love Widows, but at least I got Widows. I understood Widows. I could see I could see the people that liked Widows why. This movie was just like ultimately very forgettable. It didn't have really anything going for it that like made me want to talk about it later, or and so in that sense it just kind of fell flat. I think it's when you have actresses or actors that are trying to make the transition from being taken only at face value as comedic actors and they try to go into drama, it's a process. And Miss McCarthy's right there. She's almost there. But she's not yet like where if you put her in the lead of a movie like this, like she's the big name to me. I go see this movie, it's like, why am I going to see this movie? All the supporting characters, for the most part, other than Domhnall Gleeson, who was great.
Was he?
He was great.
Yeah, he's great.
He felt like he belonged in the movie. He felt like he fit. Like, he's a kind of a dramatic, moody actor. So, like, he was exactly well cast. Elizabeth Moss was just about right. She fit pretty well. It was the other 2 that just...
Even as good as they are, it just feels like out of place, or like not the right script for it.
And just the ending especially really hammered home there are no stakes. Like, I won't say what happens, but that sort of there's actually, it's funny. There's a line in the trailer where Melissa McCarthy says, like, so just so you know, we run this town now.
Right.
And I remember in the trailer watching it and thinking like,
is this a joke? No. That's what I thought.
I remember thinking like, that doesn't sound menacing at all.
No.
I hope that in the movie, in the context of the movie, that line lands, and it didn't at all. It was exactly that. It was just her saying it to someone and
like meaning it.
Yeah. It was just what you saw in the trailer. And I think the last bit of it actually, and this is something I noticed, I thought about, in Widows, the premise of the movie was these women, they got into crime because their husbands were gone.
Yeah.
And they're trying to run the business and like learn, and there's pitfalls. They have to get the guns.
Yeah, it was also like the debt their husbands owed fell upon them, right?
Yeah. So the stakes are interesting, right? And they were, it was a movie that took itself seriously, so you were just like, all right, these characters are in this position, I have to watch them get out of it. It wasn't like these characters are women and the entire movie they're going to poke fun at the idea that they're women doing the thing that normally men do, which this movie kind of does. A lot of this movie was like winking at the camera, like these like ladies like sitting like counting money, drinking wine.
I'm like, I lost count again. What a funny line.
And, right, you saw that in the trailer.
Yeah.
And when I watched the trailer,
I haven't seen the movie.
When I watched the trailer, I was like, that's another one where I was like, I really hope this isn't just like what it kind of seems like it is, which is I need to be able to take these characters seriously, and I don't really take them very seriously. They just because it's almost like the movie didn't let you. It's almost like the movie didn't let you. Like it's too much to cast two kind of comedians in two of your three lead roles and still have that like a little bit light tone to go along with your dark like it just kind of felt.
You don't want your audience to be making those types of decisions on their own. You need to make it for them.
You don't want your brain going there when you're watching the movie.
Yeah,
and it was distracting. I found so.
Well, I'm glad we didn't cover it because we've learned after doing the show for as long as we have, when we have to fake that we enjoyed a movie, or if we're just honest about not enjoying it, it's just not the same episode. So let's get into production development. It was on June 18th of 2013 that Paul Feig was developing a Susan Cooper, a female spy comedy for 20th Century Fox. Obviously, it's not called Susan Cooper. And then on July 25th of 2013, it was confirmed that Alyssa Mccarthy was in negotiations to play that title role, and that Zooey Deschanel was originally slated to play her partner, Elaine Crocker, but left the project, which I'm very curious to see what made her leave.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was maybe other stuff, because in 2013, she was pretty hot, pretty hopping, maybe in 2015 when they were starting.
2013? Yeah, I mean, that's like New Girl territory.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Right?
Whereas now, I bet she probably really wishes she kept the role.
Yeah.
What's it?
He's just
hanging out, being a dog.
Hanging out, yeah.
On November 12th, Fox announced a release date of May 22nd, 2015. On March 28th, 2014, the film was changed to Spy.
Written and directed by Paul Feig. Yeah. Feig, as we mentioned, is best known for having directed Bridesmaids, The Heat, Spy, also having originally produced, I believe, and created Freaks and Geeks. I could be wrong about having created, but I'm pretty certain. And then Simple Favor was his film from last year with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick. I like that movie. It's a good movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a way more interesting movie than it got credit for. No one really saw it.
Oh, wait, which one?
Simple Favor.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting movie. It's like it's pretty compelling. The tone's cool. I think Paul Feig's pretty talented. I think he's got a pretty good style. Produced by Chernin Media Group, Peter Chernin, a couple other people in here. Jenno Topping, best known for producing films Dr. Dolittle, Charlie's Angels, and St. Vincent, and then Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Did you ever see that movie?
No. Was it good?
I never saw it.
Oh, okay.
It's Tim Burton, right?
I think so.
I think it's Tim Burton.
Yeah.
And like Ava Green, maybe.
And then also Hidden Figures in 2016 finally earned her a Academy Award for Best Picture, which
love that movie.
We love that movie.
Great movie.
If we could figure out a way to do it on the show, just so we could talk about that scene, just to go to the bathroom, so we could cry. Yeah, I would. God, I love that movie. Really quickly before we hop into the next segment of the show, I do really want to talk about Guilty Movie Pleasures, a show that our friends Jesse and Ben Bagley have been doing for quite some time. We were on that show, and they were on our show years and years ago, but make sure you check it out every single Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or I guess that would be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. They would cover a movie like Identity Thief,
yeah,
whereas we probably would not. Also, now that we did that, I want to talk about Jude Law very, very quickly. Yeah. Just a quick over, under, proper, or maybe a where do we go from here with him?
Over sieged, under siege, properly sieged, anyone?
Whammy. I think it's because I did not like anything about Aquaman. I just didn't.
Aquaman? Was he in Aquaman? Jude Law?
I mean, Captain Marvel.
Oh, yeah, not a big fan.
I didn't like it. You guys know that we didn't like it, and I didn't really like him in there as Mar-Vell originally.
Yeah. Is that who he is? He's Mar-Vell?
I think that's what he was announced to play with Mar-Vell, right? But then his name changes or something like that.
I don't know. He's whatever it is. He's your trainer who ends up being
bad. He's the bad guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about Jude Law because I do believe he's a talented actor.
If you go back and look at Jude Law's career, like where he kind of came from, when he was most famous, the way he was regarded, Jude Law had a moment in like early 2000s, 2003, 2004, 2005, where he was like the hot guy.
He was the guy.
I think he might have been Sexiest Man Alive one year, probably. Seems about right.
I'm sure.
British, charming, in his mid 30s, late 30s. There, Jude Law is probably, now I'm having amnesia or deja vu. I feel like we had this conversation, but I think he's like late 40s now. I feel like 48 maybe sounds about right.
God, he looks great.
Yeah, he's taking great care of himself. He could be like 46 or something like that, but feels like he's right in that range. He's as significant, as relevant of an actor now as you can be. If you get cast in a Marvel movie as a major role, that's a pretty huge one.
Yep.
He's making a third Sherlock Holmes movie.
Which I really like those movies.
Yeah, I mean,
I really do.
Hopefully the third one's good, And it's one of those things where like I don't know what's next for Jude Law. It definitely is weird when you see actors. I actually was thinking about this for whatever weird reason. I couldn't sleep last night, and 4 a.m. this morning, I was just like running through my brain. You know how when you can't sleep?
I was out.
And like a Rolodex of ideas. And for whatever reason, I can't remember what it was. I found myself wondering how old Richard Gere was.
How old is Gere?
Well, I didn't look. I was just imagining it, but I remembered
60.
Gere.
I would assume. I would guess.
Yeah. Well, so what came to mind was I thought about Gere, and I was like, in 1990 when Pretty Woman came out, Gere had to have been in his like mid to late 30s at that point in his career. He could have been 40, maybe, right? But then I remember seeing a trailer, like a poster for a movie he was in recently, and being like, oh wow, like Richard Gere got old. Like the thing finally happened where his face changed.
He's 70.
Gere?
Yeah.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like the thing happened where I was like, oh man, like Richard Gere finally aged. Like a lot of these guys when they transition into that like 40s to 50s, they can kind of just look exactly the same for a while. And I think Jude Law, to be honest with you, still probably has, I would guess, another like 4 or 5 years where he can kind of just be about the same looking.
Well, he's 47. He's about to turn 47.
Okay, so he's got 10 more years.
He's probably got some time. And that's one of the things about Men in Hollywood. We talked about it last week specifically because of Hobbs and Shaw, and the difference in age between brother and sister who are supposed to look almost the same age in flashbacks. So, moving on into exactly what we were talking about earlier, which is the critical and box office of this movie. Fox spent just around $50 million at $65 million on this film. It opened June 5th, 2015. It grossed 110 domestic and an additional 124 foreign for a grand total of $235 million. It made $29 million and was number one its opening weekend. It's got a 7.0 on IMDb and 95% on the tomato meter and a 78% from the audience, which I'm kind of shocked about. I'm kind of surprised the audience doesn't like this movie as much as the critics did.
I'm telling you, this movie feels so similar to other guys to me. It really does.
It just doesn't get the love it deserves and respect.
It feels like when you talk to people who know this movie, they will agree with you 100%. Like, that movie's great. The movie's hilarious. And you talk about, like, where it came out and how smart it is. Like, the writing in this movie is as smart as any comedy I can think of. It feels very much like that same kind of breed of comedy where there's just so many jokes. They're all great. Such a great cast. Really talented people making it. Like we've seen now, Adam McKay a few years later did The Big Short. Yeah. Right? Like we've seen Paul Feig, like the guy's really good director. He's like really smart. So
I'd love to see him do something crazy dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, like Simple Favor starts to kind of get into that, just not quite, but it toes the line. So yeah, I mean, it's a good indicator of where Alyssa McCarthy was in her career in 2015. The fact, you open number one June 5th. Like, if you're opening in the summer, number one, it's a big thing.
Yeah, that's when all the summer blockbusters come out. I wish I could remember what came out in the summer of June 2015. I guess I could if I went and looked, but we don't need to do that right now. But what we do need to do is talk favorite line. That's like maybe the most fun part of doing action comedies because there's so many.
I can tell you a few movies that came out that summer because that was the summer we started the show.
Oh, yeah.
So Jurassic World was that summer for sure.
Fury Road, right?
Fury Road was that summer for sure.
Yeah. Wow, that's so crazy.
Spectre, I think, was that summer. Yeah, not the best.
We ended up covering. Oh, no, we ended up just saying no because we were in theaters. We were like, we cannot do this.
Instead,
yeah. Okay, so what's your favorite line?
Furious 7. Favorite line has got to be... I mean, it's hard to not just default to all of Rick Ford's lines. Yeah. He's just got so many good ones. But, well, I'll let you jump in first if you want.
I think... And
is it the Rayna line?
It is the Rayna line. And I thought about whether I should say it or not because it is a pretty inappropriate line. But you know
replace
what?
It with Soloist.
It's so... good. It's just so damn funny. And I have to pull up the whole line here because part of why it's so funny is because I remember... When I watched this the other day, I didn't actually remember the line itself, the toast, or even it happening.
Yeah.
And so you and I were talking about it today, and we were like, what is the actual line? And so they're toasting on the airplane Miss McCarthy goes, "Cheers to you, and you may never be as wise as an owl, but you'll always be a hoot to me." Rose Byrne just looks at her deadpan and goes, "Oh, what a stupid fucking retarded toast. You're delightful." And the delivery is perfect.
It's perfect.
Because it's exactly how you would feel if someone actually said that to you.
Oh, some of her other lines, like, "You always tear your food up and eat it like that. You eat like a baby."
Baby, you look like someone's demented aunts on vacation.
Yeah.
She's talking about her security detail. Oh, it's so good.
I think it's possible that my favorite line in this movie, if I'm not just going to use Rick Ford line, is when she's talking to the Swedish bodyguard guy who shows up.
Yeah.
She's like, "You fucking look at me again. I'm going to shove one hand down your throat, one hand up your ass, and play your heart like a fucking accordion."
Oh my God! What about Colin?
Oh God.
After she calls him out, because what's his actual name, like Frederick or something like that?
He's like, "Colin hasn't worked here in like 8 months. My name's Frederick."
She's like, "Look, don't." He's like, "You were gonna call me Colin again? Where'd you got?" He's like, "No, you'll have fucking help. I don't know." The writing is so clean and it moves the beats.
I mean, I also love, like,
I cried.
"Oh, Rayna, I'm so glad your hair broke your fall."
What is if I could remember some of the ones that Allison Janney actually says, but other than her just general disdain for everything
When
Susan
she's like,
Cooper.
"Do you want to just cry directly into my mouth?"
Yeah.
Well, I have an allergy, ma'am. Well, I have an allergy to disgusting fucking childhood illnesses.
You're an ugly kisser. What? You're an ugly kisser. You look like you're an old person sucking the jelly out of a donut. That's a pretty great one too. And then everything that Statham says.
Everything. He's just got so many good lines.
Yeah, we don't need to just repeat them all.
No. So, all right, guys, we are going to move on from favorite line. We have an AMA question this week.
Yeah.
It was submitted by Brian Nussbaum.
Yeah, Brian participated in our weekly Instagram story competition.
So every single week, if you guys follow Action Industries on Instagram, we post an Instagram story. It's run by Richard Eric Jarvie, one of the original general senior staff of the Action Industry, and he'll ask a question, and if you answer correctly, your answer will get selected to be read on the show. So Brian Nussbaum, who Brian wrote a wonderful version of Shallows. It's about the teen action Civil War.
He did.
Yeah, it was terrific. And his question is, my question is that we've seen great spy comedies like Austin Powers and this film, Spy. Do you think that spy films would work better as comedies or as action? Well, it's a really interesting question you asked there, because I walked in the studio today and I looked at Drew and I said, "Do you like this movie more than any of the Mission Impossible movies?"
I was appalled.
No, of course not. And I mean, I don't think that I do either necessarily. I just think I really like this movie. But my thought was, I think that when you talk about spy movies from the last 20 years, like the last 20 years of spy movies, you go back to like 2000. I don't like any single James Bond movie from the last 20 years as much as this movie. I don't like any of them as much. I guess Casino Royale maybe is better.
Right.
I really like Casino Royale. I think it's a great movie.
You enjoy watching this one more, though.
I think they're at least on par, though.
Yeah.
I think this movie's as good. Like, I don't think Casino Royale is that good, and I think this movie's terrific. I think about, there's a few really, really good Mission Impossible movies, but those movies are they're just like action thrillers more than they're even spy movies necessarily.
Right.
The spy stuff's not necessarily what makes those movies so great. And then I started thinking about the rest of them, and I'm like, I guess like the good Bourne movies are pretty good, but it takes a pretty special movie to catch my attention as a spy movie.
Well, and the funny thing too about Brian's question, it really is a great question, because you look back in time and Spy Hard and Hot Shots, and there's always been kind of a riff or a play on spy movies, because they take themselves so seriously. James Bond takes himself so seriously. It's funny because I don't think the world would be a better place without having spy movies, action movies. You need the balance, right? You have to keep having good action spy movies so that you can keep making great comedy spy movies, because if they just all become jokes, then no one's going to care about when, another funny spy movie coming out. It's just going to be kind of redundant. So I think you need both. I don't know if one works better than the other. I think if you're trying to make a true spy movie, it does have to actually be action, or else it's kind of, because all the comedy ones are making fun of spy movies, right?
I think that the spy genre, just like the action genre, those two lend themselves extremely well to comedy. And I think that, again, we talked about the other guys. We talked about this, Pineapple Express, MacGruber. Like, if you take those and you are smart enough to write... Because, like, Pineapple Express is not even correct. That's not even, like, that's not a riff on the genre. That's just, like, that's just a weird hybridized action comedy. This is a parody of the spy genre. That's what this movie is, right?
Yeah.
The Other Guys is a parody of the procedural cop action movie.
Yes.
Like, that's what that is. That's why they work so well.
Yeah.
And I think they lend themselves really well because they're these big genre films that take themselves so seriously in a way that, like, if you try to make, like, a parody drama, it doesn't work. There's no such thing. A parody courtroom drama, like, I don't want to go watch that.
Yeah, that you had to do that in like Family Guy. You know, you have to do it in like a really quick like cutscene or something like that. So Brian, thank you so much for the question. We're gonna get on to a little Cage versus Cruise, and I think we just got to do a couple of the Rick Ford lines.
100%. Yeah.
I'll let you go first.
Okay. I drive a car off a bridge while I was on fire. Not the car. I was on fire.
Nothing kills me. I'm immune to 179 different types of poison. I know because I ingested them all at once when I was deep undercover in an underground poison-ingesting crime ring.
That's pretty good.
It was serious.
That's a good one. What was like
if you want, I got this. The whole
you
thing
got the
here.
whole thing here? Okay, here we go. That's my favorite. All right, hang on, scrolling down.
I took up piano at a late age. If you know about that.
You think you're ready for the field? I once used defibrillators on myself. I put shards of glass in my fucking eye. I dropped from a high-rise building using only a raincoat as a parachute and broke both legs upon landing. I still had to pretend I was in a fucking Cirque du Soleil show.
I was a defibrillator on myself. That was great.
I've swallowed enough microchips to shit them back out again and make a computer. This arm has been ripped off completely and reattached with this fucking arm.
I swallowed enough microchips to shit out a computer. I could just even bragging about that.
Under threat of presidential assassination, I once impersonated Barack Obama convincingly.
Where'd you get that suit? I fucking made it. Didn't I? Yeah. I think we're going to try to start doing more of those guys. And honestly, at the Patreon tier of, I think, 25, the captain level.
Yeah,
if you're a captain and above, you can submit any line quote from the movie we're covering. So next week, we are covering Snatch. We're still going to do the pitch in just a second. It's going to be really exciting for everyone.
Yeah.
But think about it. If you look ahead a week, there's a bunch of great lines in Snatch. You can have a request at the $25 level of us reading any of those lines as any character that you guys know we can impersonate well. Maybe even a new character. We can try something else out. So
I think we want to start. I think we actually want to start trying to do more voices. I know because right now the catalog feels right now like we got Cruz, we got Cage,
Jared,
we got Jared. I feel like we got Liam. Let's do some improvisational comedy. I think we definitely have Schwarzenegger. That one comes up a lot less than it used to.
Yeah, your Schwarzenegger's still great though. You got Busey.
Yeah, we got Busey. Officer Murtaugh, don't be foolish.
Look at my teeth.
Look at
we got Nolte. You're right, Nolte, or no?
We got a great Albert Finney.
Yeah, Finney's so good.
Got a good Finney. I mean, there's a solid 10 or 12. I feel like I want to start doing more bits. Yeah, because I want to do another thing like we did. Guys, if you haven't seen already on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Action Industries, there was an incredible interview with Nick Cage in the New York Times last week. A real interview with the most just outlandish responses from Nick Cage. And we did it. That was a written interview. Yeah.
We found the audio files. So if you go check out youtube.com/Action Industries, you can go find the lost audio files of Nick Cage's New York Times.
His stolen dinosaur skull. It's amazing.
It's really great. But we want to do more of those. And actually, the Smasher, Kevin Smets, great editor and animator, is going to maybe start to animate some of those calls or those audio files.
Yeah, we have a good idea for that one. I love when he says.
Paul says the $10 level. Sorry.
Oh, sweet. He's like. Now the film debuted at TIFF. No, it's not the Toronto International Film Festival. It's the Transylvania International Film Festival. It's just like what?
It was called Tokarev and was renamed to Rage.
We really titled Tokarev. We changed the title to Rage. All right, guys. There's only one last thing to do before we get to the pitch, and that is which action movie category does this fit into? It's always so interesting when you do.
Interesting one.
right? Because when you do an action comedy, like, it's intentionally funny. So is it totally ridiculous? Is it ridiculously legitimate?
I think this movie...
There's three categories, is the point.
I think it's ridiculously legitimate. To call it totally legitimate is a little bit too much, because you even have, like, the bats in the ceiling of the CIA, which is amazing. Or you have, like, the lost footage of Alyssa McCarthy's, like, trial run where she...
Let's put this on the fucking YouTube.
That's a great line. Can't stop watching it. But I think those things just being a little bit absurd is the reason why, like the throat melting thing in the alleyway, just long enough for all of us to make fun of you.
I love when she just passes out. It's so funny.
Because it is so gnarly and everyone's not affected by it. Could you imagine actually seeing that in real life?
Yeah,
it'd be horrifying. I think it's ridiculously legitimate. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I think the reason is because also, like, the fight scene, the knife fight scene, is like, it's like well choreographed. That's like that's like a real action sequence. Like, I think they take their time in this movie to really try, and so yeah, I think I'd go with you. I think it's the middle category. So there's just one last thing left to talk about on the show today. That's called The Pitch.
Oh, that's sweet. Air guitar with your own sounds.
Yeah,
I wanted to do that professionally for a long time.
Air guitar?
You know, there's a real thing. It's like air guitar competitions.
Really?
I never wanted to do this, but I have watched videos.
Huh.
It's unbelievable.
That could be your musical talent.
It really could be.
Could be your musical genius.
That could be my musical talent. So we've said it like 50 times. We're going to do Snatch next week.
We're doing Snatch next week. I haven't seen this movie since it first came out, and I did lose a match, an important match to me.
You did.
In the Movie Trivia Schmodown by not knowing one of the details of this film.
I was dying.
1,000 people.
I knew it. Yeah. Why are we doing Snatch? Is it something that's coming out, or is it to pay honor to a general?
I think it's to pay honor to a general.
I believe that's correct, because it does feel a little weirdly out of place. But we're going to be doing it. We're doing another Jason Statham movie. 3 weeks of Statham for all you big-time Jason Statham fans.
So much Statham. I'm going to look up right now to see if I actually know who. So we can announce them if that's actually what's happening.
Yeah. Check it out on the Patreon on the Ode there. And if, wow, a rockin' pitch. They were very impressed with that. Probably only 12 likes, guys. Come on, let's pump that up. Yeah, we've had a lot of people watching this whole time, which has been really nice. So, guys, while Ben's looking that up, I'm going to give a quick general shout-out. Andrew Hayes, Paul Denuzio, Billy Belford, John Getz, John Patterson, Jake Iacovetta, Kyle Grandinetti, Kelsey Kirkland, Mac Ryan, Nick Gilmore, Jeremiah Morris, and the brand new general, Kyle Hilbert, as of last night. We salute you. Wow. What a lot of names. That's such an incredible thing. And again, guys, if you are a general, you can suggest movies to be covered on AMA. We won't be able to do them quite as often, but we will get to them eventually. The general movies do get covered, and they are suggested solely by every single general in the Army. Also, we have an awesome messenger chat on Facebook that they can interact with all day, every day. Ben and I are in there. The chat is always going. We have a hard time keeping up, but there's tons of interaction.
Did you already mention the bunker?
No, I was just going to say, and then the General's Bunker, which we do 3 times a week now. We're going to be doing, one in about an hour now, right before we do the action, guys. So chance for some of your content to get on air. We also do them before all 3 of our streams. So there's 4 a week now, because you do yours before your stream on Wednesdays. I do mine before mine on Thursdays, and then Sundays as well. Yeah,
so there's an extra 10 minutes each time where just the generals going to come hang out with us, talk about, what do you guys want to hear on the stream? What are your thoughts on the show today? Stuff like that. I can't find who we're covering it for. I think we deleted it once we put it on the sheet.
Yeah, we usually do.
And I was hoping maybe the smartest guy I've ever met, Paul Denuzio, actually knows.
Honestly, Paul, if we didn't have Paul Denuzio, the Patreon would fall apart.
I don't know I wouldn't even know how to dress myself in the morning without Paul.
If we didn't have all of Action Industries, our lives would fall apart. Every 100%. Single one of those 15 people just do an incredible job.
Unbelievable. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap up the show today. Thank y'all for watching. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, leave your thoughts below. Support Popcorn Talk. Hit that notification button so you know when we go live. We have another trailer reaction maybe coming up this week. I'll find out very soon for you guys. But thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys soon. We salute you.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.